Nomen Dubiums. Now, hello guys, once again to the channel. Welcome to Dinosaurs, where today we're going to be talking about fake dinosaurs. What? You know guys, well, we're going to be talking about Nomen Dubiums. And Nomen Dubiums, what it means basically is a name that is not accepted anymore by science. In this case, dinosaurs well, I think we're going to be talking mostly about dinosaurs today. But yeah, dinosaurs that are no longer recognized by science to be valid. In this case, they are fake dinosaurs. And yes, there's a lot of controversy here. And I'm going to be basically ranking them in this tier list by how much I would have wanted them to be real or to come back in the future if it's possible. From the most to the one I wouldn't care about if it stayed in the void, basically. So we're going to be starting with TROODON. Now we're going to be starting with a classic, TROODON. Now this guy is dubious genus of a Saurophaganax dinosaur. And yes, so I think we all know TROODON. And what we don't know, what you probably don't know, or you do, honestly, is that TROODON is only known from teeth. And as we all know, or we don't know, teeth are non-diagnostic, which means, I'm so sorry, we cannot name a dinosaur or any type of animal from only teeth. That is just not how it works. And yes, so for TROODON, for most of its life, for most of its discovery, it was only a bunch of teeth. Now there are some animals that were assigned to TROODON with more than just teeth. However, they later became their own genuses because, you know, that's the same thing to do. If it has a fossil, it should be its own thing. Because TROODON was, again, only teeth. So those other genuses became Sternicosaurus, Latenivenatrix, and Pectinodon. So those would be Troodontids, which is valid today as a group, but the actual animal genus TROODON is not, because it's only teeth. TROODON, honestly, I'm gonna put in B tier. I mean, it only has like legacy status, but I don't know. I'll just leave it in B tier. TRACHODON. Now, move on to a dubious, this time, hadrosaur. And yeah, there is a couple dubious hadrosaurs in general, like Anatotitan, but that one became later Montosaurus, so it's honestly a synonym. But TRACHODON was one of the earliest, again, hadrosaurs. I can't remember if it was the earliest one. It might be. And again, same problem with TROODON. Only teeth, my guy. We cannot name dinosaurs by only teeth. We can assign them like, I know they are probably this type of animal, but you know, we can't name just a whole animal because those teeth. But yes, again, these teeth were most probably they resemble more Lambeosaurine type of hadrosaur teeth. The thing is, the actual collective material had not only Lambeosaur teeth but ceratopsian teeth, which are very distinct from any other animal, which just makes it much more like convoluted. So it was very controversial. It went to a lot of convoluted taxonomy stuff, and paleontologists were like, you know, just abandon the shit. Like, let's just jump the ship, let it sink by itself. TRACHODON, honestly, I don't care. F tier for you. It says D, F tier for you. AGATHAUMAS. Now, this is one that is very, very famous, mostly because of its this portrait that I have here of AGATHAUMAS. It has history, basically. It has aura. Now, this is a dinosaur with aura. Too bad it's non-diagnostic today. It's a Nomen Dubium. Non-diagnostic, it's not the right word, because actually, unlike the other previous two, AGATHAUMAS has more than just teeth. It's actually the first ceratopsian known from more than just teeth. So we got some hip bones, some vertebrae, and some actual ribs as well. So AGATHAUMAS, you'd be like, oh yeah, well, we have some material. What can we name them? Well, AGATHAUMAS, again, this layer where it's found is from the late Maastrichtian. So it's from into the Cretaceous. And a lot of ceratopsians were as well from the late Cretaceous, especially Maastrichtian, especially North America. And the thing is, between ceratopsians, the main differentiator between them is their skulls. I mean, every single one has an ornate, insane-looking skull. I mean, just look at the difference between a Triceratops and a Pachyrhinosaurus. Those are very distinct-looking skulls. And Agathaumas, we know it from, you guessed it, I said it earlier, hip bones and ribs. So no skull to be found, and honestly, the main body of ceratopsians do not change that much. They vary very little. And it was probably, well, today we know it as more of, these fossils are assigned more towards Triceratops or either Torosaurs. Again, we can't tell which one because they're almost the same. So, Agathaumas, I mean, the way they reconstructed is insane because the skull is crazy, but that skull is like nothing. There's like nothing to it. But if it looked like that, I would put it in A tier only because of that. Dakotaraptor. Now, Dakotaraptor was found on Hell Creek, which is Lake Maastrichtian again, and that would make it actually one of the last dromaeosaurs to be alive. However, was it actually alive? Was it actually real? Well, we don't know. It was pretty big, actually, like a kilobot or a Utahraptor size. But yeah, why do I say maybe it wasn't real? Well, it was actually found in a multi-species bone bed, which means there was a bunch of different animals just lying there dead, a bunch of their fossils. And the Dakotaraptor, when it was described, later it was found that some of the material was actually some kind of soft-shell turtle, which is, spoiler alert, is not a type of raptor or a dromaeosaur. So it was chimeric in nature, which means there was other animals at play in this fossil discovery. And yeah, I mean, what do you want me to say? The actual parts that were dromaeosaur are in a private collection, which freaking sucks. So we won't know until, I don't know, this person decides to give it away. The Dakotaraptor, I mean, it's actually pretty insane. I kind of want it to be real. It would be a dromaeosaur from Hell Creek, S tier. SAUROPHAGANAX. Now, if there are Nomen Dubiums that hurt, this is one of them. SAUROPHAGANAX is a Morrison Formation discovery, an Allosaurid, to be more precise. Not only an Allosaurid, a huge Allosaurid. The material was from a pretty big animal, kind of bigger than Torvosaurus, one of the apex predators of late Jurassic in the Morrison Formation. And you know, SAUROPHAGANAX posed an insane question, which was like, what would be if an Allosaurus just took steroids and it just beefed up? Allosaurus in general were like insane animals, so the fact that there was a bigger one was kind of cool. But again, it's most definitely it's definitely a chimeric animal material, because one part that was like, what the deciding factor that it was a huge animal was not even an Allosaurid type of material. It was actually a diplodocid, like a huge sauropod. No wonder they thought it was huge. But yes, basically SAUROPHAGANAX was doomed to be not real. Now, some of the material is Allosaurid, but it's not as big, and it's probably just a different species of Allosaur, which was described in a new paper, which discredited SAUROPHAGANAX, and we now have Allosaurus anax, probably. Is that as cool as SAUROPHAGANAX? No. The name is so much worse. SAUROPHAGANAX S tier. SZECHUANOSAURUS. Now this is a dinosaur name I haven't heard it in a while. I don't know if you've heard of the actual SZECHUANOSAURUS before, but yes. This is a late Jurassic again, but from China this time. And I haven't seen it mentioned as a Nomen Dubium a lot. However, the actual type species, the holotype, suffers from the TROODON syndrome, which is only teeth. Again, as we've discussed before, you cannot name a genus based on just teeth. So SZECHUANOSAURUS actually has had 3 different species. Like, they are daring, those paleontologists. But yeah, the first one, again, only teeth. We cannot name dinosaurs by only teeth. Second species was actually more more than just teeth. However, it actually resembled more to another genus from China, late Jurassic China, SZECHUANOSAURUS, which is an actual dinosaur. And yeah, this was Shangyuensis, this species Shangyuensis. And the third one was an almost complete skeleton, but again, it was revised and it was known to be another species of SZECHUANOSAURUS, this time Sigongensis. So SZECHUANOSAURUS is just a bunch of teeth again, and the other fossils are just another dinosaur. I think it's pretty clear where we're going to put it. F tier, NEDOCERATOPS. Now we come to NEDOCERATOPS, which is an interesting one, since it's gone to a couple revisions, and once called, which I actually known it from this name, Diceratops, which is the two-horn face, but no, NEDOCERATOPS is the insufficiently horned face. I think Nedo is Russian for that. But yeah, this is from, again, late Maastrichtian, and some people say it's valid, which is okay. Some paleontologists say it's just an unusual Triceratops. Now, from the actual image you can see here, I can see both ways, because, again, ceratopsians differ a lot on their frills, and this one, it does get into the territory of individual variation. Like, Triceratops had different types of horns, like, grew in different sizes, different ways sometimes, and this one has, like, almost vertically looking brow horns, which is actually very interesting. I haven't seen a Triceratops like that. And as well, it's lacking almost the nose horn. It's almost like non-existent. And by the name, that's what the first name alluded to. You know, only two horns, Diceratops, and this one insufficient, which because it lacks the third one. But it also presented some holes in the frill, which, you know, Triceratops does not have any of those fenestrae on the frill. But these holes are very irregular, so they're probably because of, you know, injury or, you know, disease or something like that. And again, I could see why some people would think, yeah, this is an actual distinct dinosaur. It had some weird things that are not known specifically from Triceratops. But again, the individual variation is so wide in trikes that I'm willing to suspend my disbelief and think that this is just a weird Triceratops that suffered a lot of disease and, you know, it probably didn't even develop a horn. NEDOCERATOPS, I think it's kind of neat. I'm gonna put an 8 here. I wouldn't mind if it turns out it was an actual dinosaur. NANOTYRANNUS. Now, this is a very controversial one to this day, because there was a recent paper again that discussed some of NANOTYRANNUS. However, I think from hearing about it, I don't think it said a lot, honestly, to discourage the notion that it's actually not its own thing, because one of its main features of NANOTYRANNUS, again, a late Maastrichtian from Hell Creek, a tyrannosaur, is that it's a gracile, more slender-looking tyrannosaur. Now, there's another tyrannosaur in the Hell Creek, which you know why, which we know which one. But this one being smaller, slender, and gracile is like, oh yeah, it's different. Obviously, it's different. The thing is, this one overlaps with another gracile, slender, smaller tyrannosaur, which is Tyrannosaurus. And you may be thinking, what the fuck are you talking about, bro? That's not a Tyrannosaurus. If you know, Tyrannosaurus juveniles, again, they were smaller animals, and they are, again, more gracile and more slender. They hunted their own food, probably, because we do have some gut contents, and it suggests, not from a juvenile Tyrannosaurus, but from a juvenile Gorgosaurus, which is that Tyrannosaur, and it had gut contents that were, like, more specialized towards smaller animals than big ones. Like, they hunted different things. So that just makes me believe and think that another Tyrannosaur similar in size to a juvenile Tyrannosaur, which looks almost the same, could not be the same animal. Now, there is the obvious elephant in the room, is that in Asia, there is a ton of Tyrannosaurs living together. And there seems to be no correlation, no indication that there are different animals, different genuses. In fact, there's a ton of them. However, in Hell Creek specifically, in the Lake Restriction North America, we haven't found any other Tyrannosaur that is not Tyrannosaurus Rex with Tyrannosaurus juveniles. There are some little differences in the fossils, but it's probably is a juvenile. Now, if you're asking me, would it be cool if another small Tyrannosaur was alive in Hell Creek? Yes. I'm going to put it in A tier. I'm not going to be mad about that. But yes, guys. This is going to be the Nomen Dubium tier list. Again, these are not all the Nomen Dubium dinosaurs. Or animals, by that matter. There's a ton of them. We could do another tier list separate from this one. But these ones were the ones that I wanted to talk about today. Again, let me know what's your favorite Nomen Dubium, actually. What's your favorite fake dinosaur that never existed, but you would have wanted to be real. And yes, let me know, what would you change again? Please like, subscribe, comment, everything I said. And yeah, that helps a lot, guys. Thank you so much for watching.